everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel. So we are nearing the end of 2024, meaning that the 70th anniversary of Godzilla is coming to a close, but I wanted to do one more Godzilla related video before we close out this year. And that's to revisit the franchise's 50th anniversary film, Godzilla Final Wars, which came out in 2004, 20 years ago. Oh boy, has time flown. Now before I continue, if you like this video and you want to see more like this in the future, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel and also hit the bell button to get a notification when a new video comes out. So this is not going to be a review of Godzilla Final Wars per se. I've already done a review back in 2018, and in fact it's one of my more controversial reviews because I really hated the movie at the time and I gave it my lowest rating, Burn in Hell. So the reason for revisiting this movie is because over the past couple of years since that review, I've really come around to Final Wars because my exposure to this movie is quite interesting. I was super excited to see it because by the time Final Wars was about to come out, I had seen every Godzilla movie, so it was like, oh, now I get to see the last one for last. And I remember seeing it at the Egyptian Theater for the first time in 2005, loving it. Saw it twice actually, because they were playing Final Wars 2 times at their Godzilla/Monster Festival. When I got the movie on DVD for Christmas, I pretty much wore that DVD out. But over the years, I've gotten older and I've been a little more critical on Final Wars. Now, the point where I started to turn around on this movie was during the 2020 lockdowns when I was doing my series of Godzilla live watch parties. And Final Wars definitely hit a little harder the second time around. I mean, it's not a masterpiece, it's not an emotionally impactful film, but I really grew to appreciate the movie for what it is. Just this giant, over-the-top monster mash that is very confident in how over-the-top it is. I actually have 5 bullet points concerning Final Wars on why I turned around on it. The first is that the action scenes are just straight up insane. Now this movie is non-stop action, and I will admit, in the third act sometimes it can be a little boring, and most of the action does involve the humans, not the monsters fighting. But that being said, these action scenes are definitely fun, they're creative at points, and the way the director Ryuhei Kitamura films them, especially that pointless training fight after the Gotengo destroys Manda, that is definitely well shot and well choreographed. The stunts are great, and it certainly gives this movie its own unique flavor. It varies itself from all the other Godzilla movies, especially within the Millennium era, and is definitely one of a kind, much like with Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Would I still have preferred more monster-on-monster fights? Sure, but the ones that we do get are just as entertaining, which leads into my second point of the movie, how Godzilla is just completely untouchable. There's something amusing about this incarnation of Godzilla, where he is just indestructible. He goes through all of these monsters without breaking a sweat. He decapitates Gigan with his atomic breath. Soon after being broken from the ice, he takes out Zilla, Kumanga, and Kamacuras without breaking a sweat. And this is as he's traveling nonstop from Antarctica to Australia to New Guinea to Japan. So there's something really amusing about that. And at the end of the movie where he comes across Monster X, it's like watching a video game in a sense, where he's just going through a stack of monsters to fight, and then when he gets to the final boss, not only is he the hardest, but he is also not the monster he appears as. And that fight between Monster X, aka Kaiser Ghidorah, is really fun as well. And getting back to the confident insanity of these action scenes, the fight that Godzilla has in Mount Fuji between Anguirus, Rodan, and King Caesar gets insane when Anguirus is pretty much used as a soccer ball. Godzilla smacks him with his tail and hits Rodan out of the sky. King Caesar kicks Anguirus to Godzilla like a soccer ball, and Godzilla jumps as if he's a goalie. It is just nuts, and again, the fact that this movie so commits to its insanity is something that I really admire. Another thing I really love about this movie is the music and how unique it is compared to other Godzilla films. This is definitely more of a techno Godzilla movie because you have 3 different composers on this movie. All of them bring very unique sounds, and each of these unique sounds are different from any of the other scores that we have gotten in the franchise before or even after. Keith Emerson is the one that gets top billing, and his music is definitely more noticeable. Like, it's the one that's really heavy on techno and rock. He did the very catchy end credit song. Nobuhiko Morino provides some really great music as well, and he did the score for the opening credit sequence, which I think is flat out fantastic and a perfect embodiment of Godzilla's, at the time, 50-year history. But Daisuke Yano might actually be my favorite of the three composers, because he's the one that did Godzilla's theme for this movie, where Godzilla is shrouded in the snowstorm. That theme hits hard, and if nothing else, shows how indestructible Godzilla is without him even doing a thing. I was obsessed with this score when I first saw the movie, and I still am today because there's so many unique tracks that get my blood pumping. Some of them actually make for great exercise music, like Kazama's Sacrifice theme, or the battle theme when the mutants are fighting Ebura. That's really catchy. Another thing that I found myself enjoying, but at the same time I won't completely defend, are some of the performances in this movie. These are probably some of the more entertaining characters of the Millennium Era. They're not the best. That honor still goes to Akane from Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, but I think the performances are fun. There's some funny dialogue between a lot of these actors, and despite the fact that Don Frye is speaking English in this entire movie, there are some good moments between him and the other characters in terms of their camaraderie. And Don Frye was a aspect of the movie that I originally hated because of how dry he was. Like, I just thought, wow, he might be the very worst actor in the history of humanity. But watching it again, there's so many moments in this movie where he just makes me laugh because of how dry he is. I mean, he's not Bill Murray, where it's a dry sense of sarcasm, but because he is so dry in a movie that is just absolute bonkers, it's kind of admirable to watch. And then Kazuki Kitamura is the total opposite, where he is just hamming it up as the evil controller of Planet X. When he first assumes control of the Xaliens and unleashes Gigan on Tokyo, he goes, Gigan! He loses his shit every time Godzilla kills another monster, especially when he kills Zilla. He has the biggest hissy fit I've ever seen a villain have. And when he dies, he has that overdramatic, yeah! And the fact that Kazuki Kitamura is able to do that without flinching to all the pyrotechnics happening around him is very impressive, so props to him. And the last thing I really admire about this movie is something that no Godzilla movie has done better than this one, and that's the sense of scope in terms of, like, it spanning across different countries, the giant monster roster. And this movie handles that better than even the Monsterverse. It's true that the Monsterverse does have more money behind it, and they're able to do things that Toho is unable to because of budget restrictions. But even with movies like King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, and GXK, the globetrotting and just overall grand scale of Final Wars is better than them, because you feel like the entire world is at stake within this movie. The alien invasion seems that more massive, and cutting to all these different monsters attacking many worldwide cities just makes the conflict that much bigger. And again, the monster roster is just the biggest it's ever been for now. Obviously you have Godzilla, but then you also have Anguirus, Rodan, Zilla, Minya, Ebura, King Caesar, Kamacuras, Manda, Kumanga, Hedorah, Mothra, Gigan, and Monster X. That's 14 monsters total, and it is just insane. Most of the monsters do have pretty small roles. Like, Manda is killed before the main events of this film even begin. Hedorah is pretty much an afterthought because he pops up out of nowhere in Tokyo Bay and is then instantly killed with Ebura by Godzilla. And I would have liked to see some more high-profile monsters, like maybe Mechagodzilla, but considering that this was the next movie to come after the Kiryu saga, I guess it makes sense to not include Mechagodzilla, but you know, they included Mothra, so why not? But that's me going into the mindset of, if I made this movie, this is what I would have done. And I feel like that was my mindset when I reviewed this movie back in 2018. I was very much mad that this wasn't the movie that I would have made. But as the years have gone on, I've put that mindset aside and have now looked at movies on the creator's terms. What were they going for? Can I get on board with it? And did they accomplish what they were setting out to do? And I think for Final Wars, despite all its problems, I definitely have come around to this movie. It is just a blast of a movie from start to finish. It's non-stop entertainment, and I think if you watch this with the right crowd, like I did back in 2005, then you'll really dig this movie. I mentioned this during my live watch party, but for those of you who were not there for that, I'm upping my rating of this movie from Burn in Hell to good but not great. Even when I did my Godzilla ranking in 2021, I said that I came around to Godzilla Final Wars and consider it to be the best of the mid-tier films. I mean, again, it's not perfect. There are clearly better Godzilla movies out there, but considering how diverse this franchise actually is and that it can take on many forms, I don't see any reason why I should hate this film anymore. I've really come around to it. Again, I would prefer something like Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster or GMK or Minus One, but for what Godzilla Final Wars set out to do, it's a lot of fun. And there you go, that's my brief retrospective on Godzilla Final Wars and how I've come around to really enjoying this movie, because when I rewatched that review I did, I was like, man, I was way too harsh on that movie. So I had to make this just for my own sanity, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being subscribed to the channel. And I also want to give a special thank you to my YouTube members right over here. If you want to help support the channel even more, you could do so via YouTube memberships for as little as $1.99 a month. Not only do you get early access to all of my videos, including this one, but you get exclusive things that nobody else gets, including my top 5 favorite series, and starting tomorrow in the new year, the ability to both nominate and vote for monthly retro reviews. So I hope you consider joining as a YouTube member in the future. And until next time, I want to know what you guys think about Godzilla Final Wars. Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you could do so via these social media platforms, including my theme park and travel channel right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.